maturity of the entire ocean governance system so that we can very well develop a well, more coordinated, protected, sustainable blue economy policy and blue economy agenda. Same things, African agriculture. I'm told the time is running out, so let me jump through different slides. The maritime transport. We are told, and this is the data from the UN Conference on Trade and Development, UNCTAD, the COVID-19 caused the contraction of the global maritime industry down to 3.8%. Post-2021, during the post-COVID recovery phase, the recovery growth rate has already been growing at 2.9% and projected to increase to 4.3% per annum. But the war in Ukraine and other global issues are slowing down that 4.3% projection. So now we're told that we will be moving towards that goal, but a little bit lower than the projected 4.3% per annum. We are told 90,000 huge container vessels, I'm not talking about the 5-meter or 10-meter, 90,000 huge container vessels or other forms of huge vessels sail across the Indian Ocean per year. Look at the traffic flow. Look at the traffic flow. Look at East Africa. I'm not saying Tanzania. Look at East Africa. Look at the traffic flow. Look at South Africa. Look at the southern Madagascar. That's where they built the port called Tulea. Look at Mauritius and Reunion. Look at that. Maybe that's why and I'm not saying this out of, I think maybe we need to sort of accelerate our marine spatial planning and mapping systems and sort of increase and enhance our digital data ecosystem so that we very well plan and know how to pretty much use the oceans. We are still struggling. Although we have a huge maritime potential in Africa, we are struggling. We are struggling because we do not have adequate ports infrastructure, we do not have adequate port management systems, we do not have an integrated intra-African continental maritime sort of economic feedback systems. Yes, we have commercial platforms. We have things like the MISA, we have the IMO conventions, we have the regional sort of platforms, but we haven't yet been able, as a region, as a continent, to capitalize on the maritime potential of our countries. And it's a reason why Tanzania is much ahead now. It's a reason why our government is taking that bold, brave risk to say now it's time for a change. It's time for a change because things are not working the way we think they would work under business as usual. Now that is the story of the maritime potential, and we hope that with the coming of the African Free Trade Continental area, that the value and the development and the connectivity and the integration of the African states, including Tanzania, would be in a very better position. The blue energy. You know, this is very interesting. So we know about the story of the oil and gas development in Africa. I don't want to dwell much about it, but I need to focus on the emerging global dialogue on deep seabed mining, because now that is a blue economic issue that is becoming another political issue. So we know now that with the advancement of the Kingston, Jamaica dialogue processes of the International Civil Authority under the UN Convention of the Law of the Sea, that it's about time that now countries took a collective sort of position, a collective approach, a collective move towards sustainable utilization and conservation of our common heritage, which also includes the deep seabed mining issue. And this is the new frontier, because in the Indian Ocean, where we are told, not where, I'm saying in the Indian Ocean neighborhood, okay? It could be off Madagascar, it could be off the Mascarenas Ridge, but we are told that there's a field, there's a nodule field. You know the manganese nodules, you know the new deep sea gold, okay? There's a nodule field that covers 300 square kilometers that has a potential value of about 1.4 billion tons and 8 trillion US dollars. But currently, under UN Economic Commission for Africa, the projected value, the market value, is estimated at around, across Africa, 6 billion US dollars. Now there's so much discussion on this. There's so much pressure coming on to the countries, coming on to Tanzania. Tanzania, you must declare a moratorium, okay, or what is your position? Say, look, we are part of the framing of the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea. We understand that we should not disrupt the seabed before we know the entire baseline. We know that, we get it. We know that. But we also need support from you, capacity building, awareness, understanding, knowledge, ocean science and research. That is one area that is least invested in Africa. And so let us work together. Let us work together. Let us do the joint mapping, the joint processes, so that together we can defend, protect, and sustainably utilize the deep sea bed. It's not a matter of whether you are for moratorium or you are not. It's complicated. It's complex than that. The Western Indian Ocean, where we are, the 10 member states, Somalia, Kenya, Tanzania, Mozambique, South Africa, Madagascar, Comoros, Seychelles, Mauritius, France, Reunion. The total marine ecosystem, in terms of the blue economy, is estimated at 333.8 billion per year. But per year, we are told that this entire family of the Nairobi Convention member states tap only about 20.8 billion dollars worth of that potential, and many of which are under either tourism or fisheries or other low-hanging fruits. And so we say, let us work together. Let us work together under the UN Nairobi Convention, Tanzania being a member state. Let us develop our own regional ocean governance strategy. Let us develop our own blue economy systems. And let us then work with our brothers and sisters on the Atlantic side of the African continent, the Abidjan Convention. Let us then work with our brothers and sisters in the north, in the Mediterranean Sea, the Barcelona Convention. We can start with Uganda. Why Uganda? Uganda is the source of the River Nile. The River Nile that travels across thousands of miles into the Mediterranean Sea. Our Barcelona Convention area. A river that is now becoming another geopolitical point of dialogue, discussion, and tension between member states within Africa because of the issue of water. That is also a blue economy. It is not only Atlantic Ocean or Indian Ocean. The River Nile is also a blue economy. The geopolitics of the River Nile is blue economy. The Nile Basin Initiative is blue economy. The Lake Tanganyika environmental management, it's blue, like Victoria. All these are parts and parcels of the blue economy that Africa has very much been professing. I'm told I'm at 5:10 here, okay. So marine spatial planning. That is the way blue economy is marine spatial planning. Marine spatial planning is blue economy. I'm taking you back to the Cairo Declaration of 2015, when the declaration called upon member states to begin to develop their ocean governance and blue economy strategies. They were also told to use the tool called marine spatial planning. Literally, that was back in 2015. 8 years later, where we are. I know there's a speaker who will come to discuss about the outcome of the scoping work that Tanzania wholeheartedly invested in, you know, to make sure that we now have those 12 or 13 key recommendations that will define our marine spatial planning for Tanzania at the shore ecosystems, at the level of the small-scale fisheries and other systems, to the scale of the Tanzania's exclusive economic zone, and the Tanzania's commitment and obligation to protect areas beyond national jurisdiction, including the whole notion of the current dialogue of International Seabed Authority. Let me go quickly to the issue of maritime safety and security, because now it's easier to package these things under a context of development and regional economic dynamics. So, at the level of discussions, you know, when you talk of marine pollution, when you talk of the potential risks, safety risks, okay, these are now pretty much in a more sweet way of addressing them. They are packaged under the whole context of maritime safety and then security. Safety because of the safety of you know, the issues of pollution, the other risks sort of related areas that have their own ways of engagement under both UN conventions, under the UN Environment Program conventions, and the International Maritime Organization conventions like MARPOL, OPRC, and many, many other tools. But then there's an issue of maritime security. It is not only piracy. Maritime security nowadays also brings in the whole notion of marine pollution, illegal and unreported fishing, and other incidents that are happening at sea, including illegal migration of human beings, drug smuggling, and many, many other illicit activities. We cannot fight this alone in an open sea. We have to forge alliances, and we are forging alliances. During our visit to Brest, France, in February 2022, President Samia Suluhu Hassan took the opportunity to work with the French Republic on matters pertaining to ocean governance and maritime safety and security. And in matters of practicality now, as Tanzania and France are working together to build the capacity of our local forces to engage open sea maritime to combat illegal maritime activities. We have now, for example, there in Zanzibar, we have now signed a memorandum of understanding with the French Marine Ministry, responsible Ministry for Marine Affairs, so that they come in and train our local Coast Guard, the KMKM, train them on the new ways, the new methods, you know, the technologies, the capacity, the infrastructure, the understanding, you know, opening up training schools, opening up training programs so that Tanzania can prepare itself to engage maritime safety and security issues, but also Tanzania can do that not only in the context of bilateral relations with France, but Tanzania can also work it out through the regional economic conditions, the Southern African Development Community, SADC, or even the East African Community and other regional emissions. And so these are the areas that are now emerging, that have the opportunities that we need to grab in order for us to fight off the challenges. Some of the areas have already been addressed by other speakers. I don't want to dwell further into the discussion, but we have issues, we have challenges in our own regional fisheries management domain through the CFC and the IOTC. Tanzania needs to revamp. Tanzania needs to increase its presence, its capacity to engage in dialogue, decision making, and all of these will require our readiness and our willingness to take up our blue economy goals and objectives in a way that is that carries the interests of Tanzania. Now, let me give you a small profile now of the blue economy in Tanzania. I didn't want to come here I wanted to project these data, these statistics, these issues, these areas, so that when we leave this room, we leave with more questions than answers in terms of what more can Tanzania do in terms of projecting Tanzania. And I use this word, projecting Tanzania. And I will use it again, projecting Tanzania into the regional and global ocean governance, maritime, and blue economy businesses. Now, look at this data. This data was processed from the conventional, not the blue economy data systems, conventional systems that Tanzania has been engaging for years. Look at the percentage of GDP. This is, by the way, this is the Blue Economy Evaluation Toolkit report that was done under UNECA. And in Zanzibar, we have already begun our process, and we will be able to develop updated data which is blue economy oriented. And so on the mainland here, the consultants used the conventional data, which did not give a very clear, but nevertheless, it gave us the baseline, it gave us the window, and we needed this window. And so we really commend the work that was done by UNECA. Look at the GDP percentage. For mainland Tanzania by 2020, from that data, 11.9%. Zanzibar, 9.6%. In Zanzibar, we have a task. The Zanzibar Development Plan has a target that by 2025, 60% of the Zanzibar GDP should come from blue economy. So by the baseline year of 2020, our baseline GDP from blue economy is 39.6. These are baseline projections and targets really work in terms of understanding where we are, what are we doing, what are we supposed to do. Look at the wages based on the total GNI, 9.9% for the wages for mainland, 25.4% of wages in Zanzibar. 2 minutes I have. Thank you very much. These kinds of data, these kinds of stats inform policy decisions, inform governance matters, influence national development plans, national development programs, so that we know where we are and we know where we are going and we know how to develop that. And so yes, in terms of our priorities as Tanzania, the focus on blue economy, apart from maritime and the other sectors, the focus here is to revamp the fishery value chain. Investing in exclusive economic zone fishing. This is what DG Swetler from the Deep Sea Fishing Authority told me the other day that we need to focus on the tuna processing facilities, on the fish market and landing sites, build more ice plants and storage systems, fish ports, you know, offloading and transshipment systems, and all the other part. Well, we are focusing on building the infrastructure. And so this is the Zanzibar Development Plan, ZADA. We have our priorities. And the priorities here include awareness, capacity, innovation, value addition, empowerment, investments, renewable energy, agriculture, fisheries, you know, all these areas, opportunities. We need to invest more on ocean governance, science and policy, SCZA, marine spatial planning. We need to engage in sustainable tourism, fisheries, environment, research, ocean accounting, social inclusion, private sector investments, waste management, digital transformation, digital data systems, all those areas. And we need to not to forget about the plight of the majority of our people who are still primarily depending on the marine resources, those who are depending on the small-scale fisheries, anchovy production, seaweed, Pacific umber, and all the other areas. I wish I could communicate more, but time is running out. I don't want to be greedy. And the slides are here, they can be shared to see how Zanzibar has pretty much performed in the past 3 years since the blue economy agenda was developed. But then, as I'm finishing these slides, there are two slides, Chair, that I need to share with the audience. We need to think about how do we achieve the transformation of our working conditions. We need to make sure that while we are now embracing marine spatial planning, we should not forget about integrated coastal zone management. While 49% of women in Tanzania are engaged in fishing activities as traders, processors, retailers, and fryers, their overall value chain is hardly 50%. 49% are working on the ground, but the value chain recognizes just about 50% of the contribution from women. That is not fair. We need to do something to develop a blue economy-oriented, gender-segregated data systems and focus based on our policies and strategies. We need to focus on how do we blend in the food security in terms of affordability, over-dependence in the household with the blue economy targets. How do we address weak social capital? How do we focus on the conditions with potential product health risks? How do we integrate all these with climate, biodiversity, ecosystem health, and the ocean? But yes, the story is positive. We are continuing with the empowerment of our people. We are continuing to invest in value addition and city economy. The government has now been very much close to the private sector than any other time. The transformation of deep sea fishing is happening, enhancing the development of offshore renewable energy while we are focusing on exploration of oil and gas and exploring the Western Indian Ocean deep sea mineral potential for polymetallic nodules, as I've already mentioned, cobalt-rich iron, manganese, and calcium sulfides, but then without forgetting maritime safety and security, the blue diplomacy that involves multilateral agreements, international maritime organizations, regional seas programs, regional fisheries management bodies, intergovernmental organizations, regional economic commissions, aquatic freshwater systems, Lake Victoria, Nile Basin, development of river basin, etc., marine scientific research. At the end of the day, ocean governance, marine pollution, and biodiversity protection, and climate adaptation should go hand in hand with our various engagements in protecting Tanzania's path towards
that will follow.
Asante sir. I think I used 1 hour 4 minutes.
Thank you very much. That's very elaborate and comprehensive presentation of the economy, and we are supposed to have a panel comprising 3 people, which included me, but I won't be on that. Dr. Simon Katera, if you're here, can you raise your hand? Zakaria Amis. But I'm also looking at the time that we have left, and I need guidance here, because we're supposed to have another session. This is a session. I wanted to resort to Q&A and allow, I'm getting guidance here. Dr. Mathias Igulu, if you're in the room, come to the front. I will special assignment to you, sir. You've been appointed the chair of the next session. How is that?
Well, thank you, Prof. I was about to say yes, but at the same time I was about to say no. Anyway, I cannot say no to your volume. Prof. was my very first lecturer, and of course also my supervisor, myself and Dr. Ishmael, and we were doing our PhD. So I definitely cannot say no. So my task, I think, is very simple, chairing the last session. I believe there are no questions for Dr. Abud, or will reserve the questions. Anyway, Dr. Abud, you'll be blessed a bit. Yeah, but anyway, the last session for today is on the policy dialogue for sustainable fisheries management in Tanzania. Again, we have 2 presentations, one from Dr. Julius and one from Dr. George Maina. I believe George Maina is in the room. Otherwise, perhaps maybe we'll be online or we'll receive guidance from our friends from Tafiri. So, Dr. Julius Francis needs no introduction. I think there's nothing new about him. I will leave the rest for him to explain himself or introduce himself if need be. But for sure, there's no need for the introduction for you, Dr. Julius. Karibu sana, you have the floor.
I believe it's still good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you, Matthias. My presentation is going to be on Tafiri of the past and the Tafiri of the future. What I'll start with very basic descriptions of some key issues to provide the context to the issue that I'm going to discuss. This is part of work which we did last year in Tanzania and Kenya, where we assess two institutions, Tafiri for Tanzania and Kenya, Tafiri. These are government research institutions. As we know, there is Tafiri, there is Forest, there is Tafori, there is NIMRI. Those are government owned research institutions, and we wanted to look at how they interact with the relevant department, relevant mother department and the ministry. Because we felt that these institutions, if we understand how they operate and interact, rather straightforward to also understand how we can influence policy based on the science that's being generated by different actors. So this work involves the people that you see in the script. And the presentation is going to, as I said, I'm starting with very basic descriptions, and also I'll look at the evolution very broadly of fishery science and fisheries management, because also that determines the structure that you see of Tafiri. It's very much based on how the science and the fisheries management has been run. And then we'll look at some very specific outcome of the study for Tafiri. I will be talking about Tafiri. And then we'll look at what are the lessons that we've learned, and I will have some concluding remarks, which are mainly the Tafiri of the future. This is one of the current the challenge that we're having. How do we bridge the gap between the scientists who are mainly focusing on producing the publications and others, but also you have the decision makers with a lot of flooded with a lot of information, and they struggle to make sense out of this. So this is basically what this presentation is all about. So if you look at the UN Decade of Sustainable Marine Sciences, the way they define the marine science, the ocean science, is from social sciences and human dimensions, to natural sciences, to applications, to science and policy interface, and also integration of traditional knowledge. That's the definition they've taken. And I think it needs to be reflected in our institutions, it needs to be reflected in our way of thinking. That the science we are talking about cut across all dimensions. And when it comes to policy, there's a quote from this publication of 1963. Policy is rather like elephant. You recognize it when you see it, but you cannot easily define. And policy is not only what you, a policy of fisheries, not only the policy that is printed, but also there are a number of actions actions which are not taken, which are also part of the policy, although they are not described as such. So the policy is quite broad. It's not only what has been written, but also there's quite a lot of things that are not done, which are also part of the policy. So it's not only the action, but also the actions that define the policy. And there are quite a number of issues that science and policy struggles with, quite a number of them. Issues of trust, issues of understanding the language of each of the group. Science do not understand how policy works, and also the decision makers are struggling to understand how the scientists also operate. So this is some of the issues that we struggle with. So this is a long list of issues. Another very important point, I think, and also Dr. Bott alluded to. This is a paper that came out in 2007. It looks at what is the basis of the different policies in United Kingdom. Okay, and you can see the science and the evidence. Okay, it was one of the 22 factors that contributed to the different policies that were developed in UK. But what is of interest, and which is also becoming, we are seeing it in Tanzania, and also is what Dr. Bott alluded to earlier, is the PAT manifesto. What is in the PAT manifesto also defines the policies that are going to be developed. Okay, so it's not only started here in Tanzania, but also in UK a few years ago. So there's quite a number of issues that determines what policies. So science is just one. I think that's the important point on this slide. It's not the science alone that determines the policies. That's, I think, is very important also to understand. There are two main models when it comes to policy development. There is what they call rational compressive model, which is what we normally do. You start with the problem identification, agenda setting, policy development, implementation, and monitoring. So that's the standard. We all start with all these strategies. We identify the problem, then we set an agenda, we develop the strategy, implement it, monitor it, and the cycle starts again. Okay? So that's the standard. And then we have the incremental model. That's much more complex. We go through many cycles, and we make decisions at different stages. Okay? Which is basically what is adaptive management is. So that's another one. So you look at the fisheries science, the traditional one, is modeled around the first model, okay? And is mainly categorized on the species, single species management. It's also about problem identification. You collect the data, you perform assessments, you convey the results and the certainty to the manager, and the managers make decisions based on the information that they receive from the scientists. So it's a very linear type of model. And you look at the institutions, not only Tafiri, but most of the similar institutions, they are set around that. Okay? So when it comes to the fisheries management, also it's the same way. You have the management as shown in the box there, and the science, two separate boxes. One, those who are involved in the management, and those who are involved in the science. And the science box is only the scientists which are in that box. Okay? The other actors are not part of that. So there is very little room for the scientists, for non-scientists to be involved in this generation of knowledge. So that's the traditional model. You look at where the Tafiri came from, that's the model. How the fisheries is being managed, that's is along the same. So that the culture of science that we've been having has been mainly through that model. And therefore the way the fisheries management is run has been run. You define what's the problem. The problem is normally to set up the harvest rates, okay? And then you set up your system to collect the data, to model the stocks. So that's how you define them. And then you come up with a policy that will implement what you have come up with in the process. Again, as I say, it's a very linear model, and that has, in many cases, has proved to have a lot of problems. It doesn't factor in many other factors like climate change. It doesn't factor the interactions between the species and the ecosystem, because it's just looking at the species alone. So there have been a recent development, and mainly they are centered around the ecosystem approach to fisheries, moving beyond the single species management. There have been more involvement of stakeholders, and these are part of the incremental policy formulation. Now, the stakeholders are involved in generating the knowledge. They're involved in the management of the resources, and there's acknowledgement of the interaction between the species and the ecosystem. So it becomes much more complicated. But also, more recently, fisheries management has been recognized not as a scientific problem. It's more than that. It's scientific, social, and political problem. And it has to be, because of that, the argument here, it has to be addressed as such. And some of you know Gentok and this lady from Thailand, Shapadine. They came out with a description of fisheries management being a wicked problem. Fisheries management and the environmental problem, these are wicked problems because they are not only a scientific problem but also socially and political problem, and then to be addressed as such. And they describe the characteristics of wicked problems to be the management of such problem needs to take into consideration the long history, the large number of stakeholders, the large cultural difference among stakeholders, the complex governance, large economic impact of the decisions. So these are very complex. So it's not about just managing the stock, and there's quite also a lot of scientific sensitivity. And they've come up with a model that takes into consideration that you have to address 5 key issues. There's the problem field, the dimension of the problem, the stakeholders' perspective, the distance between the stakeholders. You have to try as much as possible to narrow the difference between the stakeholders, but also you have to take into consideration the history of the management of that resources. The two models brings two complications or two traps. One is oversimplification. If you take the rational model, you oversimplify it, and then it becomes very difficult. But if you implement the incremental model to the fullest, then it becomes very complicated. So you have to find a balance in the middle so that you can manage your resources. Now, I'll come back to this toward the end. As I said, last year we undertook a study, and at Tafiri, and also we did interviews at the Fisheries Division and also at the Ministry. And our interest was to look at the decision-making processes between Tafiri and the Ministry. These are some of the questions that we are looking at. So we started our reviews from the act that established Tafiri, and then we looked at different documents. We looked at, and then we did the interview with the staff. They also filled the questionnaire. We also talked to the people at the department. So if you look at the objectives of the Tafiri and the functions of Tafiri, then you can put them into 9 areas from issues related to the research capacity, institutional capacity, research in lakes, research in marine, collaborations within and outside the countries, the issue of statistics. And they've identified, if you go to the strategic plan, they've identified different strategies. So which areas Tafiri is doing very well? And we did this analysis, and we looked what areas is Tafiri doing very well. The infrastructure and working environment. So this is also on issues of data acquisition, storage, and processing. These are areas that Tafiri is doing very well. And you can see the larger the rectangles, it's an indicative of the area that they're doing very well. Areas that they're not doing so well, and is among the priority, its main functions, then these are the fish processing and marketing. Then we also look at the publication records and how it has evolved over the years. There's the issues of you could see in the 80s, in the 90s, the focus was mainly on fisheries. And then in the 2000s, it changed into more ecological studies. This second figure is look at the presentations that were made during our first conference, and this is the second conference. Okay, hopefully there's someone who is going to look at this one. And again, you could see this is fisheries, the blue, and then this ecological studies. So there, you could see clear change from more fisheries-based studies to more ecological studies. Then we look at what's the relationship with the department and the ministry, Department of Fisheries and the Ministry of Livestock and Fisheries. The department indicated that, the personnel indicated that mostly the relationship is informal, with the exceptions of the monthly reports submitted by DG to the department. Also, they indicated that there's no, the department gets information from different sources, from the universities, from the NGOs. Not all the information comes from Tafiri, but also they are not regularly updated on the new information that is generated by Tafiri. Most of it, they get it at a later stage, not when it comes out. We also looked at what's the perception of the ministry and the department on the use of science, and this is some of the comments that came from the ministry and department. Use of research evidence is very important, and the ministry do support activities that are aiming at narrowing the gap between the scientific community and such committee and the decision makers. But what came out as issues of concerns, ministry having enough skilled staff and adequate time and incentive to synthesize the information, that's a concern. Ministry having enough skilled staff also is an issue of concern, and researchers providing researchers also to be involved in the decision-making process. Also, not many staff felt that's very important. We looked at a strategy to bridge the gap between science and policy, and what is currently being used. A forum like this, conferences, policy briefs, and scientific policy forums were felt by Tafiri staff to be very, very effective. The ministry and the department felt the collaboration in design of research project and policy brief, science to policy forums, and policy recommendation and joint research to be very, very important. So you could see both the Tafiri and the department putting more emphasis on policy briefs and research on focusing on policy as the key. Also, we looked at the barriers to effective linkages between scientific and policy making. And one issue that came out clear from both Tafiri and the department is the issue of mistrust and poor communication. Both you could see there's a significant difference. This problem is seen from this side. Okay, it's not very clear. But that's an issue that came out very, very clearly. You have the Tafiri, 32% of those who responded feeling that, or 68% feeling that mistrust and poor communication is key. And then people of the ministry, only 22% feeling that that's key. But all other aspects, the percentage were quite similar, except that. Potential solutions, we looked at it, and what came out very clearly is timely availability of funds to be very, very important by the Tafiri and the department, but also the department felt that training in synthesizing and understanding research finding is very important in building the building the link between scientific and decision makers community. So I'm trying to bring this together, and then we also look at the experience from different countries. One, as we go look at the future, we have to move away from fisheries as a natural science issue. It's more of a complex socio-ecological system and should be evaluated as such. And meaning that even our research institutions should be structured to be able to address fisheries with that. We need also to strengthen our adaptive management processes and institutions to be able to respond to that. Participatory science research is key. We also need to recognize, it's happening now, we need to recognize, to even recognize more that the fishes are source of source of information, and they should be incorporated to that. We have to factor in the issue of scale. What is also very key, we have to publish and communicate. Different activities that we are undertaking, we have to document them because we are involved in different types of engagement and which are not documented. And all of the time we are starting afresh. So some few key concluding remarks. We need Tafiri of the future. Needs to be undertaking systematic mapping. Tafiri should be the institution that synthesizes information on different aspects and say, this is what we know, this is what we don't know, as far as small-scale fishery is concerned, as far as Nile perch is concerned. That will make the life of Tafiri and the department and cost very easy. Because every time you find people starting afresh, and studies that have been conducted, they say people spend about up to 30% of their budget going through the literature review for most of the things that they've already been done. So that will make things easier. Funding directed from the ministry to Tafiri for research. That's where Tafiri can compete with other sources of funding, but you have to be assured of a certain budget for research to be able to generate information that's necessary for the ministry. Tafiri need to also consider the issues of promotion criteria. This is my personal feeling. Tafiri is not a university, and it shouldn't be aimed to be a university. So your criteria for promotion cannot be the same as a university. If you make them as the same criteria as the universities, then you will not be able to respond to the needs of the departments. But that's something that is historical, but it's something that needs to be discussed openly. Then Tafiri needs to develop a program for fisheries in Lake Victoria, Lake Tanganyika, and Marine. And this program should have different components. Now you're looking at this in piecemeal, but you need a program, a research program with different components of monitoring, of modeling. In that way, you'll be able to respond to the questions that are directed to you. You need to involve more stakeholders in your research, from conception, implementation, and completion. A forum like this, which I treat it as a science to policy forum, needs to be structured Tafiri, you are in an enviable position. You can get the information from all the institutions and be able to direct to the right, to the ministry. But you need to put structures where you'll be receiving information from all those who are generating science, synthesize it, and then you take it for decision making. And the same way, information from the decision, from the, it's not seen here, from the policy and decision makers will come and influence the research. So you are in a better position than any other institution to be able to act as a link between the scientific community, the many actors generating information, NGOs, universities, and you act as a link, not as a gatekeeper, but as a link to the information that goes to the community, goes to the government. And I'll end with this quote about the fisheries management. It's about the public natural resources. Fisheries, fish is a natural resources. And it should be managed through debates, conflicts, resolutions, and involving all the stakeholders. It cannot be managed only by laws and compliance and rules. Okay? There have to be a lot of engagement to manage it. That's where the future Tafiri need to play its role. Thank you very much.
Nafikiri makofi hayatoshi. Asante sana. Mwanzoni nilifikiri tuko wanasema wazungu crossroad. But we are on the runaway. Hii safari ya miaka 41 sasa, mkurugenzi, tumemaliza 40. Kesho tunaanza 41, sisi au tulianza jana? That's the way we look at it. We are on the runway. Dr. Julius has summed it up very well. The way to go. Please reserve your questions. We'll come back on that. For the interest of time, we have one more last presentation. So, one more last presentation. Please bear with us. From colleagues from TFC. Been informed George Maina is not here, but we have Emmanuel and colleagues stepping up for the George Maina. Emmanuel Kaligo, while we are stepping up a step for you. You can take the floor. Okay, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Dr. Matthias, for facilitating this session. As I've been introduced, my name is Manuel Lupina. I have only 15 minutes, so
Let me
nitajitahidi kuzitumia vizuri. So I'm going to present some of the work that TNC is currently doing in both freshwater and marine domains, but for the interest of time and to value the contributions of seaweed farmers who have traveled all the way from Zanzibar to this Tafiri Annivesary, I would rather prefer to give them 5 minutes to share what they are currently doing in Zanzibar as far as seaweed is concerned. So Ayubu, please use 5 minutes to present what you have.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. Yeah, thank you for having us. Yeah, we have farmers who came with products from Pemba and Unguja. We TNC, we work in Tanzania mainly, but in Zanzibar as well.
In Zanzibar in particular, we're working in seaweed farming projects whereby we are training the seaweed farmers on the best practice of seaweed farming, whereby it's the way we conserve the environment, but also we improve the production. Normally, we adopt what we call double loop. It's the way we train them on how to tie the tie with double med loop, whereby instead in one rope putting only one rope, we put 2. So in a rope where it could have like maybe 10 kg, so it will have like 3 times. But also the coverage of the area of the ocean improved is maximized. So we work in currently in 5 villages. In Pemba we work in 4 villages, in Fundo, Gando, Shuma and Tumbe, and in Unguja in 1 village, but we want to expand. We currently have more than 380 farmers, all are trained in management practice. We have improved more than 500 hectares of the ocean area to improve more. So there's a lot going on, as the map shows. Yeah, as the map is where we work. So with the government of Zanzibar, previously we started with 3 villages of Shumba, Tumbe, and Tumbe, but we're working also with our partner Mabao, whereby we join head together in the village of Fundo in Uganda, and now we are planning to go southern Pemba in Kisiwapanza and Chokocho, and also in Unguja we want to go to Ibali Damani and Makoduka and Kajengwa. Basically, we're here to testify the good thing that's happening in Zanzibar, and also we also want to do it in the mainland in Pangani, where we are working in combination, but also we want to do sweet farming. So we have our farmer here, Madam Mariam from Mugoni village. She can give us a testimony for a few minutes. Mariam.
Assalamu alaikum. Kwa majina naitwa Mariam Hassan Ali kutoka Zanzibar. Kuna kijiji kinaitwa Mungoni, wilaya ya Kusini, mkoa wa Kusini. Sisi ni wajasiriamali wapandaji wa mwani kutokana na tokea tuanze mwani huu wa Mungu kuanzia miaka 30. Lakini tunaishukuru sana taasisi ya TNC ya kutuwezesha wanawake wa vijijini kutokana na elimu wanazotupa. Tulikuwa tuko chini tena chini, lakini mpaka sasa hivi tunashukuru sana, tena tunashukuru Mwenyezi Mungu ndio atawalipa. TNC ni iliyokung'arisha na imetutoa mbali kabisa, kama hapa kina mwalimu Ayubu, kina kaka Ayubu. Ilikuwa sisi tunapanda mwani kama hapa mpaka huko tunapata nusu polo, tunapata polo moja, lakini sasa wenzetu hawa wametupatia mafunzo. Mafunzo haya tunayeta kamatia chini. Kamba hii kama mnavyoiona hapa, kuna uwezo wa kutoa polo kuanzia 3. Yaani kamba kama hii inaitwa kamatia chini. Hivi mnavyoiona tunachukua huku na huku, kamba hii moja, yani tunapata huku tunavuna na huku tunavuna. TNC imetuwezesha, ukisha panda tu hapa unapanda, unavuna hapo kwa unafunga tena. TNC tunaishukuru sana, tunaipongeza sana kwa kuja vijijini Tanzania mpaka Pemba, tunapanda mwani sasa hivi vizuri sana, wametuwezesha. Pia vile vile wametutoa kwa kuwa sasa hivi kupanda mwani ni utaratibu zaidi kwa kutumia mizani. Inabidi kamba hii unaipima, bado haina kitu, na ukisha upanda inabidi unajua mimi mwani wangu nimepanda kilo 2 na vuna kilo 8, mwani wangu nimepanda kilo 1 na vuna kilo 9. Pia vile vile tunashukuru sana kwa kutupa masomo mazuri vijijini mwetu. Wanawake, wanaume washaboresha sana TNC. Tunawapongeza tena, tunawapongeza sana. Cha kuwalipa atuwalipa Mwenyezi Mungu, tunawapa shukrani. Vile naongezea kwa kusema ule ukweli, hata nasie tunang'ara kwa wao. Tulikuwa hatuna tamaa ya kuja huko kutembea na tumekuja kwa wao TNC. Kina baba oye, na kina mama oye. Kwa hiyo jamani, mie nawakaribisha watu waje kule Zanzibar, waje waone kina mama tunavyowajibika na kina mama na mwani unavyothamani. Kwa hivyo nawakaribisha, mazao yote hapo tunayo. Mwani upo na biashara zake, mafuta kama vile kina baba mkazidi kutumia sabuni, mnang'ara, uume mnazidi kuzaa mbele kwa mbele. Changamoto na anusuala na ulizwa bure, misulizi kwa pesa. Anusuala nakaribisha masuala. Kwa hiyo nampongeza sana Mwalimu Ayubu na wenzake na TNC. Shukrani, hatuna cha kuwalipa Mwenyezi Mungu. Alhamdulillah.
So asante sana Bi Mariam. The intention of TNC is actually to facilitate women to attend some important workshops like this to address their concern and to share their success and not to speak on their behalf. So that is what TNC is doing. So as some of you might be aware that in the global scale and in the region as well, TNC focuses on the land conservation, freshwater, ocean, climate, and people. So these are the 5 key thematic areas that TNC is currently doing. From Lake Tanganyika side, TNC is currently supporting over 30 villages to establish some PLUs and to provide some capacity building, and some key areas of collaboration that TNC has been working with Tafiri has been around key biodiversity areas, especially mapping, assessment and monitoring of threats, freshwater resources assessment, and this includes physical parameter, biological, chemical as well, and to support the issue of catch assessment surveys, and as well as indigenous fish species. So as you can see in that map, those are the areas that TNC is currently working in Africa. We have recently established the Benguela current project, so that is an active area right now. But we have active engagement in Tanzania, Kenya, and Seychelles as well as Mauritius, South Africa, Angola, and Gabon as well. So under the ocean strategy in Africa, TNC has been focusing more on the area of marine spatial planning, and I'm glad that Dr. Bunjumbe has already talked about that. We have also been working on the areas of coral reef systems, the areas of blue carbon, and in the area of blue carbon, currently we are scoping and finding where can we start in Tanzania. We've been working in Kenya, in Africa. Other areas include climate risk and resilience, ocean governance, and sustainable financing. As all of you are aware that the issue of sustainable financing is right now in the area of fisheries and aquaculture, using the fish path approach to support management of fishery resources. We are also doing sustainable aquaculture as presented by Ayubu and our seaweed farmer from Zanzibar. We are currently working in the area of electronic monitoring, Deep Sea Fishing Authority under the USAID Heshimu Bahari. In community-based conservation, we are working in the area of livelihood, gender, and adaptation measures. So I have a few minutes to go, but I would like to highlight some of the issues that we have been heavily working in Tanzania. In support scoping phase in collaboration with the Vice President Office and the Minister of Economic and Fisheries as well. And the scoping report is out. You can have a look at it through the Vice President's Office website. I don't want to go into detail on that for the sake of time, but as part of that report, we also highlighted some key MSP thematics, including marine biodiversity conservation and climate change adaptation, capture fisheries, ports and shipping, oil and gas, tourism, mining, subsea cables, and coastal salt production. So I'll request you to visit VPO's website to have more details in the area of marine spatial. But currently TNC is fundraising to make sure that we are moving into full MSP process in Tanzania. Still in the area of electronic monitoring, this is the use of onboard videos, cameras, and some other electronic devices and improve current of data in our vessels, especially in the EEZ. So as I said before, we are doing this the Deep Sea Fishing Authority, and the primary objective of this is to drive and inform Tanzanian commitment to transparency industrial fishing vessels. In the scoping phase, we have already started. We had the first workshop around August, and we are glad that some of you are there, and some of private sectors were there as well, as vessel owners. So we are still juggling around scoping phase, and we will be also moving into installation probably beginning of next year. So I see Matthias is moving. Oh, thank you, Matthias. I have 1 minute to go. So for the issue of EM, and there let me touch the issue of fish path, as I mentioned before. We are currently in a discussion with Tafiri. We have had some initial meetings to see whether we can apply this approach of fish path in Tanzania to improve fisheries management. And as it is, fish path cut across data collection, stock assessment, and management measure. So fish path does not, fish path as it is gives you some possible options in the areas of data collection, that what kind of data collection methods you need to use if you are working on a specific fisheries. It might be prawn, it might be octopus, it might be coral reef, and some others. And it will also guide you in the the possible assessment method or ways of analyzing your data, and it will also inform action, which is part of policy reform. So Fishmas also has got 6 phases in the scoping in phase. So for the instance of Matthias, I think I've tried to be precisely as much as I can. So thank you very much for giving us.
One more round of applause for our colleagues from TMC. Na hasa mama yetu kutoka Pemba. Naambiwa mwani na mambo mengi. Waliosikia wamesikia, fuatilia. So, just to round up, we had 3 presentations about the Peter. One from Dr. Wood on the challenge and opportunities for the growth economy development in the United Republic of Tanzania. Second one from Dr. Julius Francis on engaging policymakers in sustainable fisheries management in Tanzania, effective approach and solutions, and just completed presentation from colleagues from Chelsea, basically what Chelsea is doing, especially the way we are series in Zanzibar. So for the interest of time, I would advise that we take 3 questions, 1 for each, unless let's see more flexibility on that. But maybe we'll take 1 question from each, and then we'll give back the floor to so 1 question for Dr. Wood, Dr. Julius, and TMC. Please raise your hands whenever you're sitting. I don't want to bring Dr. Julius here or Dr. Wood, because that will take us under 2 minutes. So we have 1 question there. Just 1 second. All right. So, yeah, last second. It's okay. Samehe macho yangu yaone vizuri na naona mkono. Kwa hiyo, we'll take that we have 2 questions. Please press the mic in front of you. Address the questions either to Dr. Julius, Dr. Wood, or Chelsea. And then after the questions, then we'll give the floor to the rest of us.
Thank you, Dr. Julius. Thank you for a very nice presentation, very enlightening. My question is, I think you showed that Tafiri is still not doing as expected for aquaculture and something else, or rather, it is not as big as in other areas. I was just wondering if you are able to know why is that the case, because we understand the future of fish supply is aquaculture, and we need to have science-informed technologies or production methods for us to be on the competitive edge in the industry of aquaculture globally. Thank you.
Second question.
Thank you. My question. My comment was various. Actually, the story gave in the last recommendation. Me personally, I am not pleased for the following. Way back, our government gave the word to Cooper and libraries to check on the institutions of this country. We said institutions, Tafiri, Tafiri office and make a recommendation whether there should be phased off, some taken to the university, some taken back to the government because they were not producing money. It took time. We had to struggle with the consultants. I remember in Kilimanjaro Hotel. I told them I just graduated in Europe, in UK, and you have research institutions. Why don't you abolish yours first before you abolish ours? Then they stopped, and that's why the Tafiri is still alive, and that's why the Tafiri is still alive, and that's why all these other institutions are still alive. Only one evening at Kilimanjaro Hotel, I was very difficult at that meeting. Those who were interviewed by then knew it. And then it came to a question that why should you train all this staff into PhDs and so forth? I said, if you are looking far ahead, you should train them to whoever can reach the highest should. Tafiri has provided quite a number of trained staff to the University of Dar es Salaam. We have Dr. Kamkuru still with us. We have Onyango, the late, with us. We have Machiwa, who was with Tafiri, with us. So I will look far. Don't look shallow. If you look shallow, you will not go far. When we are in meetings, people were calling those without degrees doctor so and so. It was embarrassing. So I said, why should we go with non-educated fellows in meetings like this? Why don't we educate them? I'm glad the DG did mention he has 23 PhDs and something like 40-something MSCs and the rest, a good number with PhDs. That's good because we are all in this country. You can move from the field to the forest to wherever. And if you want to become a good researcher, you should also be knowledgeable. And the knowledge that you need to have is higher training. The area that Tafiri has not done much is gear technology. I remember in East Africa, the ones who had knowledge of gear, especially for daga fishing, was Tafiri. Uganda didn't have one. So Ugandans came to me. We said, bring some people in Mwanza. We shall take some staff from Kigoma to teach them how to fish here. With the Ugandans did. They brought their fellows there and we trained them. Now Uganda can go on their own very well with the daga fishing. It is technologies that we probably don't have at the field, but we encourage them to have more. If you look at the technologies in the world, even in visa or in wars, not university graduates, not university lecturers got it. There are people who come from institutions, very knowledgeable. So training is important. But of course, if you say you are lowering your promotion style, some people can't train because, well, why should I train if I'm going to go up to the highest level? But if you put a stick there, then they will train. So the recommendations, probably I'm overreacting, but I don't think it was fair. We wouldn't be getting guys here with degrees, PhDs, doctor. You were also in Tafiri, you are a doctor. Kayanda, you were in Tafiri, a doctor. So many doctors here. If we had stopped training, you guys would just be misters. Thank you.
Asante sana Prof. He said we are in this country pamoja tutoke. So I think that's a question was addressed to Dr. Julius. Dr. Julius will have an opportunity to respond on that. One more question, I believe it's for Dr. Mojiste. Then we now will have.
Thank you for giving me this chance. I have a question about yes, I thank you for the presentation of challenges in the economy and technical developments from the country as an advisor. Now, what is your opinion of addressing these particular challenges in relation to the moral development and secondly, what is the commitment of Tanzania in regard to the African Union commitment on development strategy among member states?
Asante. So Dr. Julius, we'll start with you. I think there's no question for Chelsea. Dr. Julius, please, you have the floor. Two questions for you. Then we'll come back to Dr. Roach.
Thank you, Mr. Mattes. I'll start with Prof. Wathoni's questions. You know, he's also my neighbor, so I have to be very careful on how I respond. I think the word he used toward the end of his intervention, maybe I overreacted. I think, Prof, you may have overreacted. The point here which I'm trying to say is when you use the promotion criteria that are very similar to university and an academic institution, first of all, you have to differentiate between university and Tafiri. They have different roles. So the issue of training to the PhD level, that's different. Because even now, you look at the government departments, there are many PhDs with no requirements for, in the department there's no requirement for promotion that are similar. So the issue of training, I don't dispute it at all. The issue that I raised here is the issue of whether Tafiri needs to have, with its role, which is different from a university, needs to have a similar promotion criteria as a university. So that's one. The second issue is I see Tafiri having a very strategic role, which it needs to position itself to be able to do that. And that role is to be able to advise government. That's like you see NIMRI, very similar to Tafiri. They've positioned themselves to be able to do that. They've been positioned to do that. And similar organizations. So Tafiri, I never questioned the importance of Tafiri at all. I see it can more than what is being done. And if you get the report, we have highlighted quite a lot of achievements of Tafiri. So they thought out about that. It's just that Tafiri, there is even now, currently even at the universities, there's a discussion going on issues of promotions and whether we should focus only on so those issues are ongoing, but also Tafiri needs to assess itself where it wants to be. So I think that's we can continue that discussion with the proper. The issue of Dr. Magala is what came out of the results that we present here. These are from Tafiri staff and the Ministry, Department of Fisheries and the Ministry. So the question was which strategy seems to be working, or which areas within the functions of the association seems to be doing very well. So what we presented here is what the Tafiri staff and the staff of the indicated areas that they feel Tafiri is doing well. So now, what could be the reason why the agriculture has not reached as well? My feeling is that if you look at the overall number of staff within the departments, still we are having more staff from fisheries than agriculture. So that may be a reflection of the respondents rather than on the actual situation. But also even in Tafiri, when you look at the number of staff that are dealing with agriculture, vis-a-vis the fisheries, we have more staff. So that could be the response to protect.
Dr. Julius, Dr. Abbott.
Thank you. Moroni Declaration ascribes to the UN Economic Commission for Africa's program in terms of accelerating economic systems in Africa. The UN Economic Commission for Africa is the source of that tool that is being used across different platforms in Africa, including in Tanzania. As I have pointed out, that in 2019-2020, we developed our blue economy policy using the NECA blue economy policy handbook. In terms of the Moroni Declaration, the declaration came at the same time as we, under the Indian Ocean River Association, IORA, developed the Zanzibar Consensus in May of the same year on the Indian Ocean Dialogue and Blue Economy, which was later transformed into the part of the outcome of the Indian Ocean River Association Indo-Pacific Consensus Outlook that brought in the African Blue Economy, Ocean Governance perspectives and priorities into the Indian Ocean River Association. And so Tanzania and Comoro being member states of both IORA and the African Union, Tanzania and Comoro working together under the coordination of the UN Commission for Africa, and now UNECA is very much Moroni Declaration basically can strengthen the Asmara community of 2019. We named that Asmara community of 2019, which had a very concrete solid pathway for the blue economy processes. Now, as far as the African Union is concerned, Tanzania, being a member of the African Union, we have very much embraced the context of the African Union blue economy strategy, which is already there, which we have already mainstreamed into our national process. And as you understand, Tanzania mainly right now is on the final lap of developing the blue economy policy and strategy as far as the main priorities. But yes, within Tanzania, we have a fundamental need of developing United Republic of Tanzania's ocean governance philosophy, ocean governance mechanism, and we are working on that so that when it comes to regional and global processes and engagement in terms of resources, in terms of political positions, Tanzania is one. Also, Tanzania being a member of the regional blocks, Tanzania being a member of the African Union, and G77, we will project our blue economy aspirations to the rest of the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Last concludes this particular session. Let's give one more round of applause to our presenters and all our contributors. Over to you, MC.
Thank you very much, Chair. Also for him, please. Thank you very much. We appreciate for your patience. We understand we are already 20 minutes ahead of our closing time. Promise that we'll just use the remaining 10 minutes for important announcement. As we know, tomorrow is quite a big day for us as we are reaching our closing remarks. So I'd like to invite to the stage now Dr. Menzo to give us any important announcements for tomorrow. Dr. Ismail, karibu sana.
Asante sana Mr. Amani. Jamani, niwashukuru sana. I would like to thank you very much, very much for your energy, for your contributions, for staying until now, and for engaging. I'm sure next time we will have a better way of engaging you all than this time. I have a few announcements to make, but before I do that, please allow me, and now I'm being a dictator, and thank you for accepting that. Dr. Abud, when he was presenting, he talked of the 10 to 15% production from the marine. And that same report, the value chain, I think, for development, the analysis that was done, actually indicates that the marine productions are underestimated, I think by a certain percent. If you combine them, actually the contribution would go high. And I think we need to keep that in mind as we work with the hidden harvest principles to unravel what the marine environment actually contributes to the economy. That was one. Two, as it relates to Dr. Julius's presentation, Tafiri now has a new approved organization structure. And the government, Madam President, actually signed it off in May this year. And in that new organization structure, we now have a communication process. That means the communication, packaging of the information that we are collecting and disseminating is now going to be properly handled instead of entrusting everything to us, the scientists, who don't really know how sometimes to engage the policy makers. We have that as a key area in the new Tafiri organization structure. And finally, I want to put to you two things. One, tomorrow is going to be a fully packed day. We have several inaugurations that we are going to do. We have the MDS, I think the multi-dimensional strategy to reduce post-harvest losses in small fisheries, the Dada, the like. That will be chaired by the FAO. We also are going to be launching the mobile application to assist coastal fishermen to access the potential fishing areas. But it also has another component of actually posting the photos of your fish before you come to the beach for marketing. Look at it from the Abalopi design.